Reporting live from Hybrid Clubhouse in Atlanta for Comedy Hype News, I'm Janava. Now, if you didn't like the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show, some of Kendrick Lamar's fans have been quick to explain the messages you may have missed. In response, some social media users would even poke fun at those Kendrick Lamar fans who say his music and performances are too deep for you to understand if you didn't enjoy it. Well, Damon Wayans has now joined in on the fun by sharing a clip of one of his old characters, Oswald Bates, from Living Color to his Instagram story.
We must internalize the flatulation of the matter. By transmitting the effervescence, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote-unquote intestinal tract.
Now, as we all know, Kendrick Lamar has a complex rap style, frequently using similes, metaphors, and double entendres to create multiple meanings in his music. Whenever Lamar releases music, fans are constantly trying to uncover, decipher, and interpret deeper meanings within his work. This trait from Kendrick fans has now been exaggerated on social media, especially from fans of Drake, as sometimes Kendrick fans come up with a hidden meaning when there is none. This represents Damon's character, Bates. Now, when he shared the clip on his story, the caption would read, "People trying to explain how the halftime show went over y'all heads." Character Oswald Bates, a prison inmate that's taken the time to educate himself while behind bars, although his sources of information remain questionable. On the development of the character, creator of In Living Color, Keenan Ivory Wayans would say, Oswald Bates is every brother who thinks he's educated. Now, after the Super Bowl halftime performance, critics will hop online to discuss the Easter eggs throughout Kendrick's show. Fans immediately had theories on why Samuel L. Jackson portrayed Uncle Sam, the significance behind the A chain around Kendrick's neck, the black dancers that made up the American flag, the PlayStation controller, and much more. Some of the symbolism in Kendrick's performance was obvious, while other imagery remained subtle and open to interpretation. However, some of the interpretations were clearly overanalyzed. One social media user would seemingly take a play out of Oswald Bates' book by pointing out Kendrick's bell-bottom jeans. They would go on the right, "Y'all missing the meaning there, bell-bottoms. Drake Bell simplified to Drake." Kendrick is saying he came from the bottom and rang Drake's bell. It's simple if you pay attention to the symbolism. Another social media user would comment on the previous post and add to it with his own explanation, also in the style of Oswald Bates. They said it goes deeper. Notice the bell bottoms are torn. It's symbolic of the Liberty Bell, which also has a crack in it due to a failed repair job. The failed repair job is used by KDOT here to show how America has failed to repair its relationships between blacks and whites. Notice the black and white shoes. This was way more than a Super Bowl performance. It's a message that transcends dimensions. Now, one more online user would chime in and add, Shorty on the radio said Serena Williams' crip walking was symbolic because she used to get fines for crip walking at her tourneys. We all know why she was there. Now, outside of the jokes, some people have started to share a meme which goes on to explain some of the hidden messages, like Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam, aka the house nigga, like he played in the Django. Samuel L. Jackson's warning Kendrick to play the game white America wants us to play and not be ghetto. The Squid Game stage, which symbolizes the rich killing the poor. The dancers in red, white, and blue representing the American flag, been dancing to the drums of the system. The stage also being a prison yard shaped like a PlayStation, where his black performers harmonized while he rapped. Protecting black women like Serena Williams after the disrespect from Drake, and once again reminding Drake and America, they not like us. The system allows Drake to push the sexy red to taint the culture. Again, the stage was a PlayStation Squid Game card, and the system is a game. Game over, TV off, been under their control. Now, if you believe those meanings or not, it does seem that Kendrick did his job by getting people talking about his recent performance. So we got to ask you, what do you think about Kendrick Lamar's halftime show? As well as, do you think people are being, as Damon suggests, with being a little too deep when it comes to his works? For more news and comedy, be sure to subscribe.
Jay-Z's former close friend and former NFL running back, Larry Johnson, says Kendrick Lamar was selected to replace Drake after Kendrick put on a dress, and explains why Kendrick Lamar was wearing women's bell-bottom jeans during his Super Bowl halftime performance. Let's get into it.
What is the final objective of Freemasonry through great work? The final objective, or the great work, is to lead everyone into a Luciferian doctrine, to lead the masses into Satanism and accepting the beast system and Satan as the one true God of this world. And in order to do so, you need a social cataclysm. You need a race war. You need war, famines, plagues, unrest. If you read Albert Pike's 1871 letter to his brother about the 3 world wars, World War III states that Islam and Zionism would mutually wipe itself out or tire itself out. Anyone disillusioned with Christianity will fall by the wayside and accept Lucifer as their God, because they'd be looking for a false Messiah to save them during the social cataclysm, civil war, and unrest. Any social movement that the Negro has created in this country has failed. But somehow, Negroes right now think that a man that had to wear a skirt to get a halftime Super Bowl performance isn't controlled, shows how disillusioned and delusional Negroes in this country are. Oh, because he said the revolution would be televised? Whose revolution you think he's talking about? If they're trying to get everybody in the beast system, why would you think that the creator of football, who was a skull and bonesman from Yale, the National Football League, which is Masonically controlled, Jay-Z, a Prince-Hall Freemason, who controls the halftime show for the white Masons, what makes you think he has free will to start a protest during one of the biggest games of this country and not be controlled, not be managed? The 1960s civil rights movement failed, and is being exposed as being Masonically managed, and its foundation of lies was based on Rosa Parks sitting in the front of the bus, and the whole time her husband had a car. The Black Panther movement failed because it couldn't sustain its numbers, and one of its leaders was infiltrated by Greek organizations and Freemasonry. Black Lives Matter failed because 3 lesbian women, kowtowed and step and fetch to George Soros. This is another failed social experiment. Y'all just don't see it yet because you are so high and mighty on your color and not really your biblical nation. Anything that separates us from the Most High is always going to fail us. That's all up and down Deuteronomy.
Shalom. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 24. No man can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. And that's just to simplify, to break down, to make it real simple of what Kendrick Lamar his life is going through right now, right? You want to serve the Jewish man and his music industry, or you want to serve the Most High God and really start getting to the Israelite practices, man, because he know he an Israelite, man, and we know that. Cut out all the symbolism, man, and all the dark secret symbolism and the damn parables and the metaphors in your raps, man. Just make it plain upon tables, man, like a real prophets of the Most High God. But anyways, let's move to the next subject through the Spirit. Let's get into some global news. Y'all know how I do. Shout out to my Edomite from overseas. Let's get it.
Iran just unveiled their first aircraft carrier, and it can launch cruise missiles, which is something that American aircraft carriers can't do. Iran spoke on this ship, and they said it can, quote, carry several squadrons of drones as well as helicopters and launch cruise missiles. And on top of that, something quite surprising, Iran said that it can travel over 20,000 miles without having to stop to refuel. And because of that, it can travel for nearly a year without having to come close to any country to have to refuel in a port. Now, something quite important to know is that this aircraft carrier isn't actually capable of launching fighter jets like most aircraft carriers are. And one of the reasons for that is that this aircraft carrier is actually converted from a commercial ship into a military ship, unlike most military ships which are made from scratch. However, something quite surprising which we haven't seen before is this carrier is actually being used to launch drones rather than fighter jets. And because drones are so much smaller than jets, it means Iran will be able to carry far more drones than they would jets on this aircraft carrier. And something else which we haven't really seen is that Iran will be able to launch all types of drones from this drone carrier, whether it's attack drones or intelligence gathering drones. Say, for example, Iran wanted to spy on the US with an intelligence drone. At the moment, they wouldn't be able to do it because Iran's drones cannot fly that far. But with this new drone carrier, Iran would be able to sail it close to an enemy country, and they would be able to launch drones within striking range. So Iran just unveiled a drone carrier ship which can launch drones to reach countries that Iran previously wouldn't be able to reach with drones. And you can leave me a follow for some more global news like this. A Chinese ship just got hijacked in Africa, and China is fighting to get the ship back. However, the hijackers say that they've hijacked the ship because the ship was illegally fishing in their waters. Now, China spoke on this. They said, quote, "We strongly condemn this vicious action which threatens the safety of the crew and international navigation security." Although there is a good thing. According to reports, after 7 weeks of the ship being hijacked, the hijackers have just released the ship and its crew. Although, something to know, the people who actually hijacked the ship spoke to the media and they said, quote, "We are not pirates, we're a community under siege." And they went on to say, quote, "They come here and take everything from our seas, and not a single fish is spared." And something you probably know is that this has been going on for quite a while in Somalia, which is where the hijacking took place. Ever since the government of Somalia collapsed over 30 years ago, countries have been illegally fishing there because there's no opposition and no one to stop them from doing it. And these hijackers who are from Somalia spoke a bit more on this, and they said, quote, "When we go out at sea, they shoot at us, they destroy our boats, and they prevent us from feeding our families." And because of that, they say that they now have to hijack ships and demand ransom money because they can't make any money from fishing anymore. But regardless, a Chinese ship that has been hijacked for the last 7 weeks has just been released, seemingly due to the Chinese government getting involved. But you can leave me a follow for some more. Pakistan just launched airstrikes on Afghanistan, and they may be about to go to war. A few days ago, Pakistan said that 16 of their soldiers were killed after a group in Afghanistan launched a surprise attack against them. And like I said, in response to this, Pakistan carried out huge airstrikes against this group that launched the attack. Although, something to know, Afghanistan did say that those strikes actually killed, sadly, 46 civilians, although they didn't release any proof of that. Now, it's hard to know how this is really going to move forward, as both sides haven't really said much publicly. Although it is worth knowing that over the last few days since Pakistan launched these airstrikes, the fighting has calmed down a bit. And that would suggest that the group in Afghanistan potentially got a bit scared by the airstrikes and they thought that it's not worth fighting anymore. Although I do need to say that Afghanistan has promised to retaliate to these strikes and they just haven't done that yet. But anyways, I'll keep you updated on this because it could turn into something quite big. So you can leave me a follow for some more global news like this. Pakistan just launched airstrikes on Afghanistan. Russia has just been told to basically fuck off by the entire European Union. In a few days, the Baltic states are going to be cutting off their electricity grid from Russia, which they currently get power from. And on top of this, the European Union is actually having a ceremony to celebrate the fact that the Baltic states will no longer be dependent on Russia for the first time since they left the Soviet Union. The president of Lithuania said, quote, "This is the last remaining element of our reliance on the Russian and Belarusian energy system." In fact, Lithuania actually specially made a clock to count down the days until they're energy independent. And this is actually where the European ceremony is going to be held, at this clock. Now, the important things now, where are these Baltic states going to get their energy from if they're not getting it from Russia and Belarus anymore? According to the EU, these Baltic states will cut the energy lines to Russia, and then they will stay independent for 24 hours. And the reason they're doing that is so that they can claim they've been energy independent. And then a day later, they will connect their energy grids to the Nordic states, where they will begin to buy energy from them instead. Now, Russia spoke on this, and to them, it isn't a surprise. In fact, the Kremlin spokesman said that Russia was informed back in July. And the spokesman said, quote, "The plans were announced long ago, and we've taken all measures to ensure that this doesn't interrupt our own energy system." So for the first time in over 30 years since they left the Soviet Union, the Baltic states will no longer be dependent on Russia. But you can leave me a follow for some more. Israel has just been told to basically fuck off by America. Today, the US announced they're going to be withdrawing their troops from Syria. And Israel says that they need these troops to protect Israel. According to the US, there are over 2,000 American troops in Syria at the moment. And Israel said, quote, "The withdrawal of American forces from Syria will raise significant concerns in Tel Aviv." And something else to know, Israel also said that they will expand their control of Syria if the US does this, basically threatening them. In fact, the Israeli defense minister said that Israel is now going to keep control of most of southwestern Syria, which they invaded after Assad fell last month. And Israel at first said that this was a short-term thing. But now that US troops are going to be withdrawing from Syria, Israel said that it's going to be a permanent thing. Now, this is still a good thing, though, for the US. If you've watched my videos, you would know that regularly US bases in Syria get attacked. In fact, just last year, a really large number of American troops were injured after they were hit in missile attacks on US bases within Syria. So the US is withdrawing their troops from Syria, and Israel is going to be seizing more control over Syrian land. And you can leave me a follow for some more global. France has just been told to fuck off by Chad. After over 60 years, France has been kicked out of Chad. And today, they finally withdrew their last troops from their last military base there. And on top of this, Russia has been invited in to take France's place, which is really embarrassing for France. Now, something to know, it isn't actually just Chad that's done this. In fact, a really large number of countries in West Africa have also done the same. In fact, within just the last 12 months, over 5 countries have collectively kicked out over 5,000 French troops from Africa, with those countries being Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Senegal, and the Ivory Coast. Now, according to reports, over 50% of the about 300 million people that speak French actually live in Africa. So France is still going to have a really big influence in Africa. However, with countries like Russia being invited in to take France's place, it certainly shows which side of the world that these countries in Africa are going to be working with. But anyways, you can leave me a follow. China has announced they're building the world's largest hydropowered dam close to the border with India. And it seems like India is quite annoyed with this, as it means that China will be able to control the water supply into India. Now, according to China, this dam is going to cost about 1 trillion Chinese yuan, close to $140 billion. And that means that it's by far the largest infrastructure project ever started. And it's worth knowing that China already has the largest dam in the world, except this one is estimated to cost about 4 times more than that. Now, like I said at the start, India could be quite annoyed over this, except it's worth knowing that this comes just a few months after China signed a historic agreement with India. And if you've watched my videos, you would know that that deal is to end the border crisis that they've had with India for the last number of years. So it's very likely that this dam will be used for positive things like creating energy rather than using it to affect India, like some people are saying. But you can leave me a follow for some more global news. Ukraine just cut off all Russian gas exports to Europe, and this could result in a massive war. And something to note, Moldova has declared a state of emergency over this. Ukraine has refused to renew a 5-year Russian gas transit deal, which has left quite a lot of countries in Europe without gas. Now, according to Russia, gas exports to Europe were cut off at about 5 o'clock this morning, UK time. Now, some of the countries that have been affected by this are Belgium, Hungary, Slovakia, and obviously Moldova. Although Belgium did say that this actually won't affect them much, as they said, quote, "We've been working for more than a year preparing for this specific scenario." Although something to note is that the Slovakian Prime Minister said that this will actually affect Europe far more than it will affect Russia. He said, quote, "Ukraine halting gas transit to Europe will have a drastic impact on the EU. but it will not even affect Russia. Now, how Europe will deal with this and how it's going to affect the economy is unknown, except Slovakia said that it will cost over $120 billion in damage. So it's likely to really annoy a lot of European countries. And it's always possible that some of those European countries will try and force Ukraine into resupplying this Russian gas. But anyways, you can leave me a follow for some. The US has just dropped massive bombs on Somalia. And on top of this, something incredibly rare, Somalia actually worked with the US for them to carry out these strikes. The US President Trump said, quote, "This morning I ordered precision airstrikes on a senior ISIS attack planner in Somalia." Now, one of the important things, Trump actually said that no civilians were harmed in these strikes, which is quite a rare thing for when the US carries out strikes. He said, quote, "The strikes destroyed the caves they lived in, and they killed many terrorists without in any way harming civilians." And the new US Defense Secretary said, quote, "The strikes were directed by Mr. Trump and coordinated with Somalia's government." Now, it's worth knowing that these weren't strikes on Somalia. As you heard, they were strikes on a group in Somalia. And Trump said, quote, "These killers threatened the US and our allies." And he also said, quote, "Our message to those who wish to attack Americans is we will find you and we will kill you." Although, despite what Trump also claimed, these weren't actually the first strikes on Somalia. In fact, the US has a long history of carrying out airstrikes on these groups within Somalia. But anyways, you can leave me a Rwanda just invaded the Congo, and despite being a far smaller country, they've taken control of one of the Congo's biggest cities. The leader of the Rwandan-backed militant group, which is currently fighting against Congo, said, quote, "Our army is working hard to guarantee total security, tranquility, and peace." Now, the fighting has been going on for the last 3 days, and in that time, sadly, 100 civilians have been killed, along with another 1,000 being injured. Now, it's worth knowing that Rwanda doesn't actually claim or deny that they support this militant group fighting in Congo, except the United Nations has claimed that they did for decades. Now, the important thing to know is why this conflict is now taking place. Now, it's been going on for years, but it's only really just escalated in the last few weeks. It's quite hard to know from so far away, except according to reports, it appears to be to do with Congo's resources that are under the ground. Now, at the minute, the Rwandan-backed group that is currently fighting in Congo, called M23, says that they control the city of Goma, which is one of the Congo's biggest cities. And according to those same reports, they also say that the group is now moving towards the city of Bukavu, which is another big city in Congo. Obviously, though, I'll keep you updated on this, so you can leave me a follow for
All praises to the Most High. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 9. We're going to start at verse 1 in the GNT. He answered, "Consider all these things very carefully. When you see that some of the signs I have told you about have appeared, you will know that the time has come when God Most High will bring judgment on the world he has created. There will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When you see these things happening, you will know that they are what God Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation. Just like the war tactics and the strategies that's going on, the hijacking of ships, the civil war between the Pakistanis and Afghans, Ishmaelites versus the Ishmaelites. You got NATO beefing with Russia. You got the conquest of Syria. You got Africa going against France. You got Ukraine cutting gas off that might affect European countries in a negative way. You got US always airstriking, no matter what country, what continent, they're going to airstrike you, right? Then you got many wars in Africa. These are signs, right, of the end is coming. Let's move on to the next subject. So this is the Federal Registry, right? Daily Journal of the U.S. government. Check this out. This is one of Trump's executive orders. 141.89. Celebrating America's 20th, Salakia, celebrating America's 250th birthday. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, in anticipation of the 250th anniversary of American independence on July 4th, 2026, it is hereby ordered. You see that? Purpose. It is the policy of the United States and a purpose of this order to provide a grand celebration worthy of the monumentous occasion of the 250th anniversary of American independence on July 4th, 2026. It is also the purpose of this order to take other actions to honor the history of our great nation. How hypocritical and wicked is this? The purpose to honor the history of our great nation. So first of all, how is America a great nation where it was established off the genocide of the Native Americans through violence and chemical warfare? How's America a great nation where it was established on the backs and the blood and the SA and the torture and the torment and the unaliving of blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans during slavery, during riots and KKK and black codes and Jim Crow laws and a bunch of terrorism? How's America a great nation when there literally is deporting the people that was here first? How's America a great nation was based on white supremacy and racism? How's America a great nation where it doesn't care about the poor, doesn't care about the homeless, doesn't care about the women and children, doesn't care about blacks and Hispanics? And if you think about it, they don't care about their own people. You got 9/11. You got many bombings and the Oklahoma bombing. You got many mass murderers, serial killers, petty pedos, bunch of witchcraft, sorcery, and warlocks, man, and madness in America. You got inflation, you got taxes, you got court fees, you got damn property tax, it's a whole bunch of madness in America. You got damn the LGBTQ community taking over. You got the rich and the poor. Ain't no more middle class. You got riots. You got extremists. You got damn strip clubs. You got damn prostitutes. You got defiled food. You got polluted water. America is not a great nation. And this is madness right here. This is prideful, man, and disgusting. But check this out. Here's an article. Armstrong Williams. The average empire survives for 250 years. Let's give the Lord a hand clap for that. All praise to the Most High. So we know that the ending of America, the downfall of America, the no more establishment of America is soon. It's around the corner. The average empire only survives around 250 years. And we just read that America's going to celebrate their 250-year birthday in 2 years, man. So us Israelites, we're looking to get out of here in a couple years, man. All praise to the Most High. You understand? Now let's get into this article. Got a couple precepts after I read this article. Let's read. Right here. Let's read these two paragraphs right here. Since World War II, the United States has been primarily concerned with spreading democracy and freedom across the world, seeing itself as a sort of global liberator. In reality, the U.S. maintains over 800 military outposts and special operation groups spread around the globe. This is a critical consideration in determining where the United States belongs in the pantheon of former empires since, like those before it, it has been primarily interested in extended influence and power by war, right? This is not something that I mean as a criticism, but rather a contextual point. However, it is this overreach in the pursuit of continuous power and influence that frequently leads to empires withering, albeit slowly. In 2026, the United States of America, founded in 1776, will celebrate its 250th anniversary. We're rapidly nearing the 250th anniversary of the fall of most previous civilizations. With ongoing internal turmoil ranging from race to financial disparity to political tribalism and other countries gradually pulling away from the orbit of the US-led supremacy, it appears that the tides are turning against us. Well, against them, against the United States, not me. I fear that this mere statistic may soon become a reality that alters the course of our lives. Yes, the redemption of the Israelites. Read it on. After all, many citizens and politicians will celebrate our downfall. The Israelites are too. Read it on. Not realizing the peerless impact it will have on the freedoms they believe they do not have. I am not sure if it will be a huge international conflict, a financial catastrophe, or a civil war that causes the United States to fall apart. It's going to be all of above. Read it on. But I do believe that learning from the past is critical, and we are slow, or slacking. We are too slow down the inedible. We are too slow down the inedible. So it's definitely going to happen. Let's see if I want anything from here. No, that's it, man. We're looking for the downfall of America, and it's right around the corner. Oh, praises to the Most High. Let's get a couple scriptures through the Spirit. This is the book of Habakkuk. Matter of fact, Salagia. We gonna hold that. We gonna hold that. Let's get the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shall make thyself naked. You see what the Most High said? It says, rejoice, America. Rejoice, O daughter of Edom, Mystery Babylon. Celebrate your 250th birthday on July 4th, 2026. Have much beer. Eat much hot dogs. Eat much burgers. And your bland potato salad with your nasty raisins in it. With your unseasoned chicken. Celebrate, America. Celebrate, you Caucasian beast. Verse 22. The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thy iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. You see what the Most High said? He said our last captivity is in America to the daughter of Edom, which is America, Babylon, which are the Caucasian Americans, which are the elites of this world that has the dominion over America. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 10, verse 7 and 8. Pride is hateful before God and man, and by both do one commit iniquity. You got to be a real prideful people to celebrate the nation's birthday, which was established, what was built on, which was constructed and developed by slavery, by unjust decrees, by broken treaties, by police brutality, by systemic racism. You got to be a powerful people, man. And the Lord is going to judge you for that. Verse 8, because of unrighteous dealings, discrimination, segregation. Well, we wanted we wanted we didn't, segregation, that's a whole different topic. But unrighteous dealings such as, discrimination, right? Racial profiling, housing segregation, right? Redlining. You understand? Not be able to get a loan, right? A nice, decent loan with low interest. Right? Reading on injuries and riches got by deceit. The kingdom is translated from one people to the other. So you understand that? This kingdom that's ran by Esau is going to be translated from one people to the other. And we are that one people, the nation of Israel. Where we're going to be kings and priests on this earth and rule the world in righteousness. Let's get the book of Job, chapter 20, verse 5. That the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. This is a hypocritical nation. They claim they are Christian, right? What didn't Donald Trump just say he's going to bring back America back into the Christian way, Christian values? How you a Christian? How you supposed to believe in God and be a follower of what the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and you deporting people? You're not allowing them to get a chance to even be a citizen of America. How you bombing different countries, extorting and taxing people like beasts, like they not worth anything? You're a hypocritical person, man, and you're wicked. All the wicked y'all done, flooding towns, bombing Black Wall Streets. You understand? Promoting feminism, burning churches, mass incarceration. Come on, man. Eminent domain. This wicked nation has to go down, and it will go down. Let's get the book of Revelation, chapter 18. We're going to start at verse 20. Talking about y'all about to have you're basically having a damn birthday celebration for America. But guess what? This is what the Most High says about what we should do. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God have avenged you on her. So this is the prophecy. This is what surely is going to come to pass. That's why the Most High said we should be rejoicing, right? We should be giving the Lord all the glory and the praise and rejoice among each other, because we know that America is going to fall. America is going to be avenged. America is going to be wiped out and no more. That's why the Most High said, rejoice, all you holy apostles and prophets. You understand? Read it on. Verse 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it to the sea, saying, thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. That's sudden total destruction. right? And it shall not be found no more at all. It will never rise again. You would never have a United States president no more. Or your Lincolns and Jeffersons and Jacksons and Trumps and Bushes will be no more. They won't be ruling over you no more. Just how Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, that's how America is going to be destroyed. See, America, it's all about worldly power, wealth, and corruption. And it's going to be wiped away instantly because that's straight iniquity, wickedness, and and madness. And the Lord don't get down with that. Verse 22. And the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and of trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. So you understand that? It's going to be a death of the American culture. No more Star Spangled Banner. Right? No more of them other songs talking about white supremacy and white power and America patriotism and all that nonsense. Right? The joy, the industries in America is going to be no more. Reading on, and no craftsman of who so or whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. You understand that? The daily life of working and trades and economic booms and social jobs and whatnot, it's gonna be done away with. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. Right? This was a prosperous nation. It's gonna be like a ghost town. Verse 23. In the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. Right? The Luciferian doctrine, the Luciferian lifestyle, the Statue of Liberty that holds the light. It's going to be no more. It's going to be lifeless. You understand? Read it on. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. No more celebrations. No more Super Bowl halftime shows. No more Olympic Games. No more July 4th. No more fireworks. You understand? No more Christmas parties. No more Easter parties. No more New Year's Eve parties. That's going to be done away with. You heard? Reading on. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. Right? And for by thy sorceries were all the nations deceived. Right? The false religions. The economic control through tariffs and extortion and embargoes. Then the manipulation by religion and politics and propaganda is going to be no more. The Lord is going to destroy all this from America, man. And we got to give the Most High all honor and glory and praise for this, man. Let's move to the next topic. Speaking of the United States and its hypocrisy and its wickedness and its violence they done to the innocents. 8 times the U.S. government gave white people handouts to get ahead. The 1830 Indian Removal Act, with the help of the U.S. Army, Cherokee, Creek, and other Eastern Native American tribes, were forced to relocate west of the Mississippi River to make room for white settlers. The 1862 Homestead Act. This act gave away any overwhelming number of acreage to white settlers out west, land that had been previously settled by Native Americans and Mexicans. Shout out to my Mexicans out there. According to California Newsreel, Nearly 270 million acres of Indian territory was converted to private property for white settlers. Not converted, but was taken, stolen, extorted to private property for white settlers. The 1970 Naturalism Act. Under this legislation, only free whites were allowed to become naturalized citizens of the United States. Thus, the doors were open for European immigrants, of course, their brothers, their sisters, but not anyone else. The right to vote, serve on juries, and hold office was exclusively reserved for American citizens. Wow. So, exclusively reserved for American whites, Caucasians, Europeans. The Social Security Act of 1935, enacted under President Roosevelt's New Deal. The Social Security Act provided a financial safety net for millions of workers and guaranteed that they would continue to be paid after retirement. But this luxury didn't extend to everyone. However, the act excluded agriculture and domestic laborers, many of whom were Black, the Judites, the Benjamites, the Levites, Mexican, the Issacharites, and Asians. You understand? Even the white people got a problem with Asians. Here we go. The GI Education Bill, Veteran Administration Housing Authority, and Healthcare System. Because of these government programs, mostly white members of the armed forces were able to continue their education, guaranteed private housing, and granted access to a public health care system. Many of these benefits were reserved for white veterans. However, for the handful of Black veterans who could participate in these programs, their benefits were still fewer than those of their white counterparts. When we thought America was a land of free, we all equal, you'd think we'll get the same benefits. But no, America is about white, it's for white, and established by the violence of whites and the deception of whites. Esau, Edomites, Idumeans, Amalekites, Jewish people. Let's get more. The Wagner Act of 1935, also known as the National Labor Relations Act. This legislation gave labor unions the power of collective bargaining, defined unfair work practices, and established consequences if those rules were broken. As unions excluded non-white workers from better paying jobs and benefits like health care, pension, and job security, millions of white workers were able to work their way into the middle class. Wow. Two more. The Federal Housing Administration. Under this bill, white families were granted home loans, making it possible for them to purchase their very first humble abode. Unfortunately, mortgage eligibility was often tied to race, while those living in integrated neighborhoods were deemed a flight risk and denied loans. So basically, I'm saying Blacks and Hispanics were denied loans for a house, for a home. That's why we're in the hoods and projects now, right? Majority of us. 1960 Jim Crow laws. This hourly discriminatory laws not only barred African Americans from drinking at the same water fountains as whites, but also reserved the best jobs, schools, neighborhoods, and hospitals for white people. And this was America. And this is what America is all about. And they're gonna celebrate this in 2 years. Next year. All this unjust dealings, injuries and practices, and schemes and counsel is gonna be celebrated next year. Let's get more. Companies and organizations directly or indirectly benefited from slavery. The U.S. government. We're not gonna read all this. I'm gonna put the link in it. I'm gonna put the link in the description. U.S. government, U.S. military, faith-based organizations were benefited from slavery. This is crazy. Businesses associated with some way with slavery, railroads, the newspapers, like in U.S. Today, consumer goods, banks and financial institutions were benefited over slavery. Your favorite bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan, Chase. Educational institutions were benefited off of slavery. Harvard, Yale, Columbia, Princeton, University of Virginia. You understand? These were companies and organizations directly or indirectly benefited from slavery, man. Sheesh. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's get the Edomites of the day. The wicked Edomites of the day. Of the week, as we should say. This is a new segment. We'll bring it to Zion's Elite. The Edomites, the wicked Edomite of the week. That's what we're gonna name it. The wicked Edomite of the week. Let's get into it. White couple adopted 5 black children to use as slaves. And this who the people you want in the kingdom with you, Christians? Donald Ray Lance and Jean Whitefeather, how ironic, were arrested after a wellness check led to the discovery of 2 of the couple's 5 adopted black children living locked in a barn. The children had no means to exit the barn on their own. No running water, no bathroom facilities, and no food. The children said they were forced to sleep on the concrete floor of the barn without any mattress or padding. The children had open sores on their bare feet, and that the children were dirty and smelled of body odor. The indictment is for human rights violations for the adopted children who were black, were specifically targeted by the couple and forced to work because of their race. Reparations in America are own, you think? It's a little video. Some cameras. Here's the Edomite, the wicked Edomites of the week. O daughter Edom ought to be destroyed. All right. I got a quick couple precepts through the Spirit. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 22, and verse 25 in the NLT. Your princes plot conspiracies just as lions stalk their prey. They devour innocent people, seizing treasures and extorting wealth. They make many widows in the land. Isn't this America at its finest? Ain't this the attributes of America? Destroy innocent people, taking their money, pin sanctions on them, freezing their bank assets, many payments and owners of debt and unfair pay rates. And look what else they do. They make many widows in their land by war, by mass murdering, by airstrikes, by bombs, by kidnapping. And this what America's gonna celebrate next year? Let's get the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, verse 10. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, verse 10. But I will strip bare the land of Edom, and there will be no place left to hide. Its children, its brothers, and its neighbors will all be destroyed, and Edom itself will be no more. All right, let's get some Black history. Let's get some Black history. This is a man, Thomas Fuller. Right? Thomas Fuller was an American slave known for his skills in mathematics. He was so good at math, he could do unimaginable calculations. One day, when they asked him how many seconds there were in a year and in a half, he answered in approximately 2 minutes. Pro-abolitionist and white Philip Slakia used his talent as proof that black slaves were equal to white in intelligence. Thomas Fuller was a great, very mathematician, but unfortunately forgotten about in history. You understand? Because they don't want to bring out how successful, how smart and intelligent we were, but how much our beasts and monsters they think we are, and criminals they think we are. They gave us a bad image, but we are the smartest. We're the most driven. We're the strongest, right? We got the most courage. We just overall better than all these nations, man. You understand? We God's chosen people. We're very special. And I'm gonna end it with a health tip, you know. Gotta take care of your body and your health in these last days. There's some health swaps, you know. For example, cut out the purified water, get some spring water, cut out the sports drinks like Gatorade and whatnot, and drink some coconut water, right? What you cooking, instead of the vegetable oil, get you some olive or some avocado oil. You understand? Instead of flavored water, get some infused water with fresh fruits. Instead of fast food, make some home cooked meals. Instead of processed chips, I love some chips. Get some kale chips, you know, some vegetable chips. You know, my rib has some vegetable chips, you know, I was snacking on them the other day, you heard? Instead of white bread, get some sprouted grain bread, or, you know, bread that doesn't have all the preservatives and all that. All that nonsense, high fructose corn syrup, you know. Instead of artificial flavors, get real fruit, right? Cut out the fruit snacks and get fresh, dry fruit. You know, we got to do better in these last days. You know, we God's chosen people. We also have to eat and drink like it, and exercise as well. Okay. And with that, I want to give all honor and glory and praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. I want to encourage y'all to continue to fast, pray, do the works of the Lord, give alms, and keep the faith, man. Stay strong. Remember, America is falling. America is falling. America is falling. So you should be increasing in knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and getting closer with the Most High God and His only begotten Son of the world, called Jesus Christ, and gather with your people. Love your people. Kam Yasharallah. Shalom.